So before we went to the break, we were talking about the role that church or the opportunity and perhaps the responsibility that church really has, or the opportunity that the church has with really helping us in the area of voting rights and just our challenge and our needs around voting. And what I was saying is, well, yes and no. Yes, but the church has changed, so not quite sure that the current or the new church is how we're going to get it done. Like, I'm just not sure because everything is virtual, everything is online. Look, I founded a ministry 10 years ago, Girlfriends Pray. It was virtual back then. So I understand the changing dynamics. I've served a very large church. My mentor pastor, actually he was a co-host of the show for at the beginning, Dr. DeForest B. Soaries, Jeff Carter. I'm sure you guys
in
probably know.
Somerset,
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yep.
So that was
Central
my mentor.
Jersey.
Yeah, that was my mentor, my pastor, and I worked for the church. And so but that's a different church then. And by the way, he just retired. So, but anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts, Jeff, about when you talk about church. Is that the current church or the old church, or do you really think that there's opportunity still with the existing model or with the new model?
Well, I think existing and new, there are always opportunities. A lot of churches are self-absorbed, wrapped up into themselves, and
Yep.
worried about what they can do for themselves. And yes, I said that, and will continue to say that. There are some pastors who work out in the community. When I go, I try to bring people in, and some pastors do, some pastors don't, some pastors will, and some pastors won't. But we have no time to be tired. I leave the ones behind that don't want to do it, and the ones who want to engage and come out and do things, then we work with them. And uh, you know, I think the issue with the church is, and growing up a youth in the church in Pittsburgh, a lot of the people who were young with me have either gone into different denominations, not Episcopal, or don't go to church at all. And I think the reason is the church has failed to meet the needs of today's youth. There's some that do, and there's some that don't. My kids went every Sunday, and I kind of, they go now, but they're still trying to find themselves. And my oldest is 40, but you know, my oldest doesn't want any politics in the church, and I keep telling him that the only way things got done back in the day was because of the church, because that's the only place people could meet and get together without there being an issue. Um, so we just keep working. We have to pray. We have to keep engaging. It's like that hammer and that nail. We just have to keep beating it, beating it, beating it. And then my father always used to have a saying that, Jeff, you'll understand later. So I'm that old Negro spiritual. I'm no ways tired. I keep engaging people, engaging churches, engaging organizations. And, I say it's the moving train. We were blessed to be branch of the year in the state of New Jersey this year. And it's not because of me, but it's because of we. And Malcolm X had a saying that, the sickness is I instead of we. And when a lot of times people have I instead of we. And when you're only as good as a president or in a business as the people that you surround yourselves with. And if you surround yourselves with good people, you're going to grow and come up with new ideas, because I don't care how good you are as an individual. If you got PhD, QD, MD, you need people around you, and you need a supporting cast. And a lot of times people get in positions and they forget that. So we just have to keep working. We have to keep pushing and keep engaging, not only our youth, but adults, because a lot of adults, now, we had voting from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Well, I can't do it. Now there's no excuse. We have early voting. We have how many days we have, you can mail it in. They used to call it, absentee, but it's not absentee. It's vote by mail, because you don't have to be away. And I tell people here in my town, Englewood, they had a third ward city councilman election, and there were 5 to 7 votes that decided the election. And so every vote, if 5 or 7 more people would have said, go out and vote. And it's extraordinarily important that we continue to push people. And a lot of times we get depressed, or that I'm not going anywhere. And you just have to, have to keep relying on your faith to say, I'm not going to get tired. And I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep going. And I know it sounds like a broken record, but you'll, with the vaccinations, that's the same thing. We just keep doing it. We keep putting sessions on, and then it's like a moving train. It went up. And the same thing with engagement. As people see you doing things, and people see their friends and stuff starting to catch on, that's how. It's not on TV. It's not on, TikTok. It's not on Instagram. It is on that, getting out in the community, boots in the ground, people passing by, people helping people. We've done turkey giveaways. We've done, book bag giveaways. We've given out almost over 1,000 book bags in the last 2 years. And it's because we have great people around us. I have a tandem of 2 people who are always coming up with new ideas. And, they keep hitting home runs, but they're faith-based, number one. And number 2, they care about helping people. And that's something you can't teach in, in a degree, in a person. You can't teach them to care and love and have empathy for people who have fallen on hard times. A lot of times, like the story you were telling, oh, do I have to stop and help this person? Damn right you have to stop and help that person, because your survival and your godliness says that I got to help somebody, because you know what? That may have been me if it weren't for a few situations that have gone my way that may have gone the other way.
Jeff, you're saying a word and a half, more than a word. And I'm going to shout out my pastor, Andrew Hunt Jr. At Liberty Baptist Church in Chicago. And he literally declared 2 Sundays ago that if his ministry wasn't going to be about impacting the people outside the church, and he says, I don't mean just coming and preaching to them, but bringing food to them, clothing them, helping them find jobs, engage in those communities, whether they're church members or not, whether they're actually church folk or not. He says, because you can't start having a conversation about why they should vote and why they should do this and why they should do that if you're not meeting you're not even acting like you care about their basic needs. So again, there's a church model that's turned inward, to your point about what's going on inside these walls and are we all good? And then there's a service model that I would argue is more Christ-like, that says, yes, we have a ministry inside the church, but our real work is outside the church. And that kind of work, which is faith-driven work, is necessary to get to the point of voter education, getting people to the polls, getting people to understand why they should vote, and also not just wait for the big presidential election, but the local elections, which are actually more directly impacting day-to-day life. But as people of faith, we can't just disengage and think that we're doing the right thing. And Dee, I'm a huge admirer of Melanie for that reason. She's always, before she was head of a civil rights organization, she is that person, that is faith-based and Christ-like in the ways that I think really, really matter.
No, you're absolutely right. And I just think it takes everybody everyone. This is an all hands on deck. And before I got involved, I think my bias was this topic, this issue in our communities. That's not what I do. So that was my thought many years ago. Please don't judge me, people. And then when I leaned in closer, I'm like, oh, wait. Oh, no, this is all of our work. This is all of our responsibility. So we're going to go to break, but I think the conversation is so rich. Jeff, I have such admiration for the work that you do, the work that you lead. We need leaders. In fact, we need you all to even inform us in terms of what our posture and position, or giving us things to think about and process. We follow y'all's leads. Sometimes it really is about the people who are closer than educating the community about what we need to do. And so thank you so much. We will be right back. It's Be Lifted Up, your guide to living an abundant life.